June the 30th, 2024. Guys, you're seeing a hurricane that's already broken all records going back to 1861 when they first started taking somewhat accurate measurements. It's the first hurricane to ever become a Cat 4 in the Atlantic during the month of June. And there's only been 5 Category 3s since then where that has occurred. Right now we're dealing with a Cat 4, and I put together a map similar to yesterday with some of the numbers, but they're 3 hours old, the computer printouts, and so some of it's already obsolete. I'll just give you an example. But right now, you guys in the islands, coming in right here in the southern tip of the Windward Islands, you're going to be dealing with 166 mile per hour gust. That's well above a Cat 5. Now, that is at the numbers now. When the storm started this morning, we were dealing with a Cat 2. Remember that? Now it's already a Cat 4, and this thing, I guarantee you, almost guarantee, that this will be a Cat 5. Just, again, looking at some of the gust and the numbers there. Let's look at the infrared for a moment, and you can see the formation here, before I do that, of the second storm that we're watching right there. And it may become a set of twins before this gets all the way through the Caribbean here. We'll just have to watch for the spin-ups in this. Look how well defined this thing is and how fast it's spinning. Check that out. While we're here, I'm going to move this slightly at this close-up over here into the Gulf of Mexico. You guys are starting to get some of this rain pouring in from the Gulf itself in the northern Bay of Campeche right here, guys. So, again, that's a good thing. It looks like you may have several hours of this. Take advantage of every drop. And if we move over to Africa, there's our 2 storms. We've got quite a large system coming off here and one behind it. We don't know how this season is going to work out, guys, but we have talked about the fact that it could be a record breaker because of all the other records being broken, whether it's rainfall, floods, snow, heat, whatever it was, that this one was going to be one to remember. But it may not be the last one that we remember. The Earth is getting warmer, not man-made, but it's in its natural process. It goes through these, we talk about 13,000 and 26,000-year cycles. And we've seen that happen before. Right now, we're into a heating cycle that's still on the uphill climb, and look at what we're seeing. Now, this was in the early edition of, I think it was Atlantic magazine by one of their hurricane folks there that comes in regularly. And it's 2 things here. Hurricane Beryl is intensifying at a rate unprecedented. Did you hear that? All the storms you've watched in your life, all the storms I've watched, at an unprecedented rate, intensifying. And these archives go back to 1851. And it's unprecedented in the historical archives for so early in the season. Also, it may become the first June Atlantic Cat 4 on record. And again, this was earlier, and now it is a Cat 4. Gusts are very high. Again, I've got a few marks on the map we'll look at, but those numbers may change very quickly because this was not supposed to become a 4 this early when the computer data was printed out. We'll take a look at what it does say, though, and that's definitely something to be concerned about. Now, this is the latest from Sky Tower, which is part of Fox Hurricane down in Florida. 11:35 a.m., I think that was Eastern Time advisory. So this would be not quite an hour and a half old yet. Here's your location. Your winds at 130, sustained, moving west at 21 miles an hour. The pressure is very low. Now they're saying by in the morning at 8 a.m., guys, and this is going to be way too late for anyone on the islands to make preparations by then. You need to take full advantage of the rest of the sunshine that you have today, because this 140 mile per hour sustained winds, guys, that's going to be hard to deal with, slowing down to a 130. But if we look at the numbers, which I did, and I'm going to show you our map, you guys are going to be getting 166 mile per hour gust on the top end, and that would almost be a Cat 6 if there was such a thing, because your Cat 1s, they start at 156, and you're going to be 10 miles above that, or 10 miles per hour above that at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's under the very early computer printout. Let me show you, and I put the notes there, and we'll take a quick look at the map, and you're going to see how this thing comes through here. And this is an average. This is a very important hurricane to point that out, because it's small compared to some that we've seen, but it's so compact and powerful, it's going to do a lot of damage. Now, but what this cone is showing, that this center, this line, which is an average of all the models, could go from here to here. Not the size of the storm, but the center in the models. And we're going to take a look at that, because our two top models are still bringing this thing into Louisiana. And the TABD has joined in with that model plot. Now, what it's saying is Monday night, 8 p.m., still a Cat 4. Tuesday morning, still a Cat 4 at 8 o'clock. Slowing down Tuesday, 8 p.m. to 125, Cat 3. Wednesday at 8 a.m., Cat 3. Tuesday at 8 a.m., 110-mile-an-hour Cat 2 comes ashore on the Yucatan, according to the average of these spaghetti models, Friday morning at 85 miles per hour, Cat 1. Now, it's showing this thing coming ashore on the NavGem model 1 week from today. Very close to shore it will be. So you've got a week to prepare if the models that we follow are correct. But again, this would be the average, and that's the plot that is on the information from the computer. In other words, I plotted I think maybe 4 spots along here, including this spot on the Yucatan. But you'll see by the spaghetti models, this is definitely the average. And this is what we're talking about. This was updated, guys, 14 minutes ago. Right here, we got the Canadian model, the Navy model, and the TABD model, all coming into South Louisiana. Now, all of these are right at the point around New Orleans, Lake Pontchartrain, guys, and Mississippi's right here. This is what we saw with Katrina. We saw it very close, similar patterns to different storms like Camille. But this may be stronger than all of these, guys. So you've got what the model we're seeing from the National Hurricane Center. That's why I stopped in explaining that section of it. It's an average between this pink line from the TABD and this white line from the TABS right there. And that puts you right here on that last mark on the hurricane cone from the National Hurricane Center. Now we're going to start off with the Navy model, and you'll see a few changes, not much on the location right here as far as the impact point, but notice that it gets very strong quicker. In other words, you'll see it get real strong when it first starts out right in this area. Look at that. Then it weakens down as it comes across Jamaica and comes up through the gap, as I call it right there. But the impact has not changed, nor has the path of the storm that's in the Bay of Campeche for you guys there. Watch it as it begins. Right there, see that? That's what you're going to be dealing with. This one's not focusing on that rear storm yet, but let me point out something that I mentioned earlier. We're going to stop this right there. We're on the 6th, but as we step it forward, that's next Saturday, guys. There we're into the 7th. You got 1 week, but really you need to have all your ducks in a row before next weekend, Thursday and Friday. And now there's 2 good reasons to keep your vehicles full before that time. If you have to evacuate, you will have plenty. But if the oil rigs get damaged out in the Gulf itself, gas is going to skyrocket. It's right on the edge. Our strategic reserves have been drained again. And because, I don't know what's going to happen, because usually when you have a political cycle coming to an end like this one, they want to show the cheapest prices they can for things like gas, some of your most important necessities, right? This may not allow that to happen, but regardless of the political points in it, you need to be aware of it. And we're going to fill up our vehicles for both of those reasons. We're 120 miles inland, and again, things don't usually get too rough here. Camille was rough, and Katrina was terrible. I mean, it was terrible here. But again, this is next Sunday. You need to be ready by Friday, because what's going to happen around you when you start, all the people in South Louisiana and Mississippi and Texas, and this thing could vary, all along the northern coast really, they're going to be prepping, guys. They're going to be filling up their cars. They're going to be getting that extra water at the store, the extra whatever necessities you can think of, batteries, flashlights. Get you one of the Ryobi fans, guys. It'll pop up here in this video near the end. Click there. You'll get the same price from Home Depot, but it helps our channel out some. We appreciate that. Let's look at something else. Now let's look at the Canadian model. Here's our first storm coming up into Louisiana, Mississippi. See that, guys? And the second one is coming in possibly to Mexico City, the city area there, folks. I don't want you to flood out, but again, you need as much rain as you can get right now. Notice there is continuing activity during this time in the Caribbean itself. Also, as this, watch the high pressure as it starts. It's high, it's red. See that? It's over here, and that's going to start to open up and move back. And that's what the models are counting on right there. See this? That open path. So we'll have to watch the second storm. What they're showing, though, right as it's getting in out of the Bay of Campeche, the high pressure area comes back and it kind of sets this barrier across the Gulf of Mexico. Let it play through one more time. That may be why this one's going to come into Mexico. Let's take a look at the updated checkpoints here, guys. Notice that I use the exact longitude and latitude of the location and the information at that point, and you see where the average line ends right here on the Yucatan. But Jamaica, you and the Cayman Islands, do not take your eyes off the storm, because you're going to get more of it than anybody else at the strongest point, because the top models are showing this curve right through here going up into Louisiana. Now, I started this map earlier. The green arrows are the checkpoints. Yesterday, the star right here is where these models were taking it, so you can see a slight drift. Now, what that is that hurricane center map. I showed you this is the average. Our top two models are showing it coming through the gap very close to that and then ending up in Louisiana. Now, this was earlier today, and it's already intensified above that point, but we're going to go there and take a look at it. Click here, and it will tell you here the estimated pressure would have been 964, eye diameter 10 nautical miles, maximum sustained winds 105 knots with gusts to 130. That's 120 miles an hour up to 150 miles an hour, guys. This was before. These were the predictions earlier. Let's go to the second one, and that's going to be coming up through the afternoon, because it's going to be getting right ashore about 8 o'clock in the morning, or sometimes after midnight, but that's daylight. So, guys, this is your chance to do any last-minute hunkering down in preparation. Now, this is the second point. We haven't quite gotten there yet, but the numbers are very amazing. Again, the quickest developing storm basically in history. But we're dealing with, that's tomorrow. Notice June 1st, 120 knots. That's 138 mile per hour. That's the sustained wind. So, guys, you're at 138. You're still in Cat 4. It begins at 130. But your upper level gusts, the peaks, the damage is going to be done at 166 miles per hour. And, guys, your Cat 5s, they start at 156. Okay? So you're going to be dealing with your upper level winds, those roof and building damaging ones that tear the trees down, move buildings off of slabs, guys. I've seen it. I've seen it with Katrina and seen it with other storms. But this is not going to be anywhere you want to be. If you were anywhere in these islands vacationing from St. Vincent down to Grenada, maybe as far as Scarborough, you need to evacuate. Barbados, you may be out of the gun simply because you're far enough north, but if any changes, it's going to endanger this entire area. But guys, if you draw this line again from here to here, notice it. If it's a straight line, if it stays there, Grenada, you're going to be on the best side of the storm. Just saying that. If it comes through here, but this island here, Bogles in Clifton. These are going to be really raked hard, but guys, it's going to be tough on you either way. But it does appear that it's going to be just north of Grenada, so you'll be on the better quadrant, not this northeast quadrant that has the most damage in it. And anyway, let's go to right here. Now this will be on the second. I think these are all going to change now because it's rapidly intensifying. 132 mile per hour winds. That's 115 knots, which is 132. And that is, again, your Cat 4 start at 130 with your peaks at 140 knots or 161 miles per hour still in that Cat 5 category as far as your peaks. I think we're going to need a Cat 6 before this global heating is over with, and it's not man-made. Now let's go here south of Haiti. This point again is marked because of this longitude and latitude right there. Now 110 knots up to 135 knot gust. 110 is 125 mile per hour. Guys, in that you're dealing with Cat 3s. It goes up to 129. But your gust, 155, that's right at, again, 156 is a Cat 5. Still very powerful gust. And we're going to come here. This is where we're a little further south on the Cayman Islands, but this is the average. It's not our top two models, so don't let this throw you off. Let's look at the information here. Again, this I think it's all going to increase now. We're dealing with 95 knots to 115 knots, and that's 110 miles per hour to up to 132 miles per hour on your top end. But at 110, you're at a Cat 2. And then your gusts, guys, will put you back into a Cat 4 at 130. See that? Just the strength of those. Now, here's the last point on the computer, ashore on the Yucatan. Of course, it's going to be slowing down. 75 knots to 90 knots. That's 86 miles per hour sustained. And this is on land, so that it's already would be slowing down if it was coming here. I'm thinking it's going to move further north. But 86, guys, that's Cat 1 because a Cat 1 starts at 74. 110, you're dealing with the highest Cat 2 there is. 111 is a Cat 3 in your gust. So that's what we've got as far as what the computer's printing out here. But you saw what the spaghetti models is doing. And the reason they're doing it is that high pressure is moving out into the Atlantic for a few days, just in time for this to come up and do its thing. Guys, this is something we've got to watch. I wish this on nobody because these are terrible storms. If you're in the path, do not stay there. You guys along the Louisiana, Mississippi coast, I'm not saying evacuate now, but plan your evacuations. You know, if you're in New Orleans, maybe up closer, maybe you want to get further than Baton Rouge away. But if you're in along the Mississippi coast, you may want to get in Meridian or Jackson, Vicksburg, something like that. But plan ahead of time. Call and book you some rooms out of town. Leave the day before where you're not in the traffic because when these Cat 5s get announced and Cat 4s, the interstates fill up very quickly from people taking their time, not paying attention, and not being ahead of it. You do not want to be stuck on the interstate anywhere along the coast during this type of storm. You just don't want that to happen. You're not going to have power in a hotel room if you're thinking about coming to the coast. All of that's going to be gone wherever it makes landfall. And so, guys, you again, go ahead now and think about where you would go. You're seeing this area as far as New Orleans and Gulfport, Biloxi, these areas that will be affected. This storm, I've seen it too many times. When one gets that powerful, will come straight up in here, and when that top section of it hits the land, guys, it's spinning in a counterclock rotation. It's gonna pull it to the right at the last minute. We've seen it with Michael, remember? So we're way away from knowing the exact point. But if I was in Miami, if I was in Havana, if I was in New Orleans or Houston, I would be prepping, or at least getting lined up to where you could go. Maybe friends or family you can get in touch with, or again maybe just a motel room. But get out of Dodge. We're watching this, guys. I'm going to give you, it's only 12:40 p.m. Central, so you're going to get a couple of late updates. I may wait to the 6 o'clock one. We'll just see how rapid the intensification is. But this is a record breaker, guys. So heads up, be safe.